Hi, my name is Audrey and I'm going to talk about a book that I read this summer called What Was the Underground Railroad? This is the introduction. The Underground Railroad. First, I'm going to show you the map. All the red lines are leading to freedom. There are passageways that slaves took to freedom. The Underground Railroad is actually not a real railroad. It was the escape route that slaves took to freedom before the Civil War. People who helped them were called conductors. It was a dangerous journey, but freedom was worth it. Chapter 1, The Slave Trade. If you look over to the right, you will see a picture of some of the first slaves that were delivered to America. These slaves were taken from their homes and put on a ship with very little food or water. It started in America in 1619. Just 20 slaves in the beginning. White people captured black Americans and put them all in a ship with very little food, water, or space. They sold them to work and separated them from their families. Chapter 2, Life on a Plantation. Slavery was mostly in the South. Cotton was the most important crop. Slaves worked day and night for their owners, and if they did not work, they would be beaten. Field slaves worked very hard, but they had to work harder than the house slaves. The house slaves had it easier. All slaves wanted to be free. Chapter 3. Some people in the North wanted to end slavery right away when it started. Then they were called abolitionists. One famous abolitionist was William Lloyd Garrison. He ran a newspaper called The Liberator. Chapter 4, A Path to Freedom. Conductors tried to get escaped slaves to free states. South, east to New England, southwest to Midwest, Texas to Mexico. Slave owners tried to get them back by hiring slave catchers with trained dogs to bite them and sniff them out. Chapter 5 is about the most famous conductor, Harriet Tubman. Harriet Tubman was considered a legend. She escaped from slavery in 1849. She freed over 300 slaves. She is famous for saying, I never ran my train off the track and never lost a passenger. One of the most interesting stories in this book was Henry Box Brown. Henry was given a nickname. His nickname was Box. Henry Brown was a slave from Virginia. He saw his family got sold away. He was very upset. He decided that he has had enough of this slavery. So he mailed himself in a box and hired one of his trusted friends to mail him. he spent 26 hours in a box. Abolitionists met him and helped him, gave him food, shelter, and water. And they gave him a nickname, Henry Box Brown. End of slavery now. The Civil War ended in 1865. But even 100 years later, black people and white people were not equal. Segregation existed, especially in the South. Black people and white people were not allowed to share the same pool, same water fountains. They weren't even allowed to go to the same schools. The Civil Rights Movement in 1950s and 1960s tried to end segregation. Leaders like Martin Luther King helped to pass important laws, like Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the voting rights to both black and white people in 1965. I wrote a report in Miss Brown's class on about Martin Luther King Jr. And this is the end of my book report. I'm awesome.